Since most of our viewership is from colleges, uh, what is the like? How does it happen? How do the interview rounds happen for Indian companies, and how does it happen for foreign companies like Japanese companies? You talked about Japan side, but can you shed some light on India's side as well?
So for Indian companies, I have given like I think till the last round, I've gone for Amazon, Flipkart, Visa. I have cleared, so I can tell from that experience. For Indian companies, it's a basic, very simple, straightforward procedure. They want to check your three things. One is your DS algo skills, for which they ask questions in interviews, in online test, everywhere they ask questions. Second is some of them ask your subject theoretical knowledge of database, OS, and something like that. And third is sometimes they ask puzzles. I don't know why, but there might be a good thinking factor for some companies, which I've heard. So, and like some companies are there in India which focus totally on projects, your resume, and those are the best companies you should go for. I think if they are just checking DSL, I think you should also not work for them. You should work in a company where they are interested in your personal coding life, not your professional or academic coding life. So
Mm-hmm.
basic, you have to mug up your DSL if you want to get a job at Amazon, Microsoft. I think Goldman Sachs, you need to build a higher order thinking of coding as well. But similar, other if you keep on mugging up a lot of questions, doing a lot of questions in an Indian company, you can crack every other company except those companies which see projects, and there you will fail miserably. So it's
Yeah.
up to you where you want to go in your coding life. Do you want to follow that very easy track of mugging up questions, or do you want to balance it with your projects and become a person where you are like happy about yourself also, that in these 4 years I've created something as well, not just did the academic stuff.
Yeah. Can you talk about what companies, like which companies ask for what kind of projects and stuff like that?
So I have created a very long playlist for that as well, like for a lot of companies, which companies asking what, which companies asking what, and which type of level of coding questions, which companies asking. So for me, like for the project type of thing, I have like my experience with Visa, that was very good because they were like, I totally told them on the first line of my interview that I have not marked up DSRO questions. So please don't expect me to vomit out the answers on them or vomit out the basic algorithms on them, but I can try. If you just give me a good question, I'll try my best. So they were like, it's cool. We don't want that coding part. So like this, some companies are there, but I can't tell every, like I can't list them down, but I know a few. Visa is one of them, and I think Flipkart and Amazon, but basically totally about their coding part. Like I have not come across many companies relating to this ideology, but yeah, I can tell about one, right?
You had gotten selected in Visa, but you didn't accept that offer. So, uh, number one, why didn't you accept that offer? And number two, what is the procedure like?
It was a very difficult choice, obviously, and given the fact that Corona was on its on full scale, and I all the flights were suspended between Japan and India, and still I don't know why I chose Japan one, but obviously I'm very lucky and very happy about it now. So my only reason was one, that Visa is a tech company, and there would be a lot of tech people there, and you will
Yeah.
have a tech role, but a small tech role in a big tech company. And like going up the ladder would be very difficult in a company like Visa. But when you see a company which main focus is to sell clothes, they have a different approach. They have a different type of IT team. They have a large number of people working in the IT team, but it's very segregated. It's very like entrepreneurial. If you think about that, in like if you have a different segment of work which you have to focus on, then everything is an entrepreneurial work for you. Even managing people is a different type of thing. Like your mindset is, we have to sell clothes. How should we sell clothes? What type of clothes should we sell? And how do we get it to customers? Then people say you should hire an IT team. You should build websites. Then the person gets, okay, but then how do I do that? Then he has to become a startup owner in that sense. So there, I think going up the ladder is a very good and achieving role in some sense. Like there, people have to make you motivated to code, But in a company like Visa, maybe everyone is coding, then people would be like, you should follow the person next to you and just do what coders have to do. That was my logic there.
Yeah. Can you talk about Visa's interview process and how you got through it?
So Visa's interview process was very like when I was standing outside the interview rooms, and I was late for that interview. I should also add that because like I was, I think 3 hours late. People were in their third round, and I just reached there. And because I had this Amazon interview process before that, and I was
Mm,
like, "Okay, Amazon try kar lete hain. And if I don't get through Amazon, I'll go to Visa." And that time I had this Amazon wala Kida in my brain because I had given 3 times the interview for internship, and every time in last round or maybe they had some various weird excuses for not selecting me. So I was like, I should beat this once. Maybe I should not
yeah.
go for the job, but I should beat this one. So I went for that interview, and obviously first round was very weird for me. There was a person who was like, I think he was an amazing coder for his belief, but maybe not what I saw from my perspective. He asked me questions, I answered. I answered the perfect and most efficient answer, coding answer possible there. And he was not impressed, maybe. And when I asked him, okay, what would be the better solution to this, and he was not able to answer that as well. So that's a different story. So after that, I went to that visa process area in our college, and then there I asked the placement coordinator. Obviously, he was not that very helpful. I won't take his name, but so I just waited there for a while, 10, 15 minutes. And then I saw a person who was like from Visa, who was like writing names and organizing that stuff. So I directly approached her, removing all those obstructions in between that I was late because of rain, blah, 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 and everything. Oh, thankfully, it was raining that day. But she allowed me. So she said, "ठीक है, कर लेते हैं. Maybe he's a great guy and just a time issue is there. We'll follow that." And after that, first round started, and amazing first round. It was all about my resume. He asked me good questions about, I think, maths, bit by like he asked me a question about banks and ATMs, which I solved using bit character mapping or maybe manipulation of bits. And that was a very achieving factor for me solving that question related to ATMs and everything. With zero sense of ATMs, with zero sense of finance, I was like able to solve that, and that was great for me. Then I wanted to show him my app, and I started my app, and it crashed in front of him, and that was a great thing again. And he was like, "Oh, hota hai, theek hai." Okay, cool, cool. But then, like everything was going up and down, like one thing up, one thing down, one thing up, one thing down, and that caused a lot of tension in my brain. कि अभी दो offer में से Amazon reject हो चुका है, and I have to crack this one at least to get it through. And तो but thankfully उन्होंने approve कर दिया मेरा मतलब interview वो वाला first वाला. And उनका the process was so amazing that they had a very long form, the visa people, and
Hmm.
in that a lot of questions they were filling for every like they were judging everything, I think behavioral and everything. Like they had a 20 set of questions in that sheet, I think, and
Yeah.
that sheet was being discussed within 3 people, I think. After my interview got over, I like came outside and I could see 3 people discussing over that sheet and like thinking, should we take this person forward or not? And that was something very interesting to see. Like it's not if one person says this, we'll accept. And they just like it was a good feeling when you see that people are judging you and discussing over you. So, and after that, second round, third round, they were basically similar type of rounds as well, resume based and some type of different questions. And the most, I think, the happening thing that happened was they had the solution to our online test as well. So we had, I think, 4 questions, and I think I did 1.5 or 2.5, and I
Hmm.
left the DP question there. So his direct question was, why did you not do the DP question and everything? So I said, I didn't waste my time practicing DP question. I did other things. I created an app, I created a website, I created a portal. And he was like, cool. So how do I check your this part of skill? So I
Yeah.
told him, you can create a question around anything, maybe something new, maybe something from your mind. not a very academic or technical question, or maybe a written question on Geeks for Geeks. So he created a puzzle for me, and it was a similar puzzle to Geeks for Geeks puzzles, or maybe those puzzles available online, but he changed it somehow. Like he changed the time of that burning stick, and like he created it more difficult, and I was not able to solve it. But he liked my approach towards it, and he at the end he told me how to solve it. And then he asked me an OS related question, how to perform. I think there are, I think, four types of OS processes where you select which process to process first, and then which process to go second. So in that sense, he asked me two, three types of ways to process a table. I think that was it for the rounds, and they selected me after those rounds. And I think it was a very great process because they didn't focus more on coding, and they focused more on my resume. And I think after that, the HR round was left, which was again a masterpiece because just as I sat in front of him, his first question was, "So after attending the company's PPT, what questions do you have?" I'm like, PPT, okay. So a PPT also happened. And I think it was at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And I came from Gurgaon, and I think at 10 a.m. for the Amazon round. And I didn't even knew about ke visa hoga mera yani. And after the PPT, they announced the name. So I was like, I didn't even attend the PPT. So he's like, then why should I take you? Like, you are not even interested. He just called two, three people in his team. The people who were interviewing, he stopped them and called and said, look, he didn't even attend the PPT. Why should I even take his HR interview? And I was like, okay, now this is pretty bad. Now this has gone the worst it could ever go today.
Yeah.
And from there, he was like, pura maze lena. He was like, at every question, he was taunting me about that. Hey, you didn't attend the PPT. You don't have any knowledge about this and this and that. But obviously, in between, he asked me a lot of questions. He saw on my resume, I was vice president at the entrepreneurship cell of our college. So he was like, you are cleared on that communication part, I think. So I should not judge that. Second, then we talked about politics in college. So there's a lot of politics in GTU, I think, regarding societies, regarding administration and the communication between societies, who get what budget, and like a lot of all those things you might know about them if it happens in your college. So we talked about that. Then we talked about politics in office. I don't know why we were talking about politics. We thought it was like a discussion over tea. It was not an interview. I didn't, because I think back of the mind, I thought he might not select me. So I should just talk shit I know from my college, shit I have done in my college, politics I have seen in my college. Just throw everything, my 3 years, in front of him, and just let him decide what type of person I am, or should he take me or not. So that was it for the HR round. And I think after 2.5 hours of waiting, they announced the names. That was very like a great moment for me.